The story begins in a faraway place beyond the stars, where a young alien princess lived. Her home was a bright and beautiful planet, full of advanced technology and strange creatures. The people there were very different from humans on Earth. They had their own ways of living, their own customs, and their own rules. The princess grew up learning about her people's history and traditions. She was taught to be strong, wise, and careful. From a very young age, the princess knew she was special. Her family was powerful and respected by many across the galaxy. But with this honor came responsibility. She had to prepare to become a leader, someone who could help keep peace between different planets. The princess often felt the weight of these expectations, but she also dreamed of adventure beyond her world. One day, her life changed suddenly. The Royal Council told her about an important decision. She would marry a human from Earth. At first, the princess was shocked. She had heard stories about Earth and its people, but none of them were good. The stories told of humans being wild, unpredictable, and sometimes even dangerous. Her people viewed Earth as a place of chaos compared to their calm and orderly society. Fear filled the princess's heart. How could she marry someone so different? What if humans did not accept her? What if she could not live among them? These questions made her anxious. She worried about leaving everything she knew, her family, her friends, her home. The thought of traveling across space to meet a stranger was both exciting and terrifying. Despite her fears, the princess was determined to do her duty. The Royal Council arranged all the preparations for her journey. She learned about Earth's language, culture, and even about the humans' home city. They showed her pictures and videos to help her understand what to expect. But no matter how much she learned, her mind was still full of doubt. Before she left, her family gathered to say goodbye. Her parents gave her gifts to keep her safe and remind her of home. The princess's closest friends promised to write to her and share news from their planet. These moments made her feel a little braver, but deep inside, her heart was still heavy with worry. The day of her departure arrived. Quickly, the princess stepped into a sleek, shining spaceship that would take her across the stars. She looked back one last time at her home planet, the place where she had lived all her life. It was hard to believe she would soon be on a strange, new world with a human she had never met. As the spaceship soared through space, the princess watched the stars blur past her window. She thought about what awaited her on Earth. Would her human betrothed be kind? Would she be able to understand him? Would he accept her as she was, an alien princess from another world? After a long journey, the spaceship finally reached Earth's atmosphere. The princess was amazed by the beauty of the blue planet beneath her. From space, Earth looked peaceful and full of life. But as the ship landed, she felt her old fears creeping back. The sounds, the smells, and the unfamiliar sky all made her nervous. When she stepped out of the ship, she was greeted by many people. Some wore uniforms, others carried devices that buzzed and beeped. Everything was so different from her home. The princess noticed the humans around her were busy and noisy. They spoke quickly and moved in ways she did not understand. Her first meeting with humans was overwhelming. She saw how they lived in cities filled with tall buildings, cars, and bright lights. The air smelled different, and the ground felt strange beneath her feet. She met scientists and officials who had come to welcome her, but their expressions were hard to read. The princess felt like an outsider in a place so full of unknowns. Despite her fear, the princess tried to stay calm. She remembered her training, to be strong and patient. She watched her human hosts carefully, trying to learn their ways. At times, she felt frightened by their energy and noise. The humans seemed so different from her quiet and orderly world. Sometimes, she wondered if she had made a mistake by coming here. But even in this new place, she found moments of beauty. She saw children playing in parks, flowers blooming in small gardens, and the sun setting behind the tall buildings. These things made her heart beat a little faster with hope. Maybe Earth was not as wild as she had feared. As the days passed, the princess began to understand that her human betrothed was also preparing to meet her. The idea of meeting a stranger was hard for both of them. She thought about what he might be feeling, nervous, curious, maybe even scared. This thought made her feel less alone. The princess knew that soon she would face the most important moment of her journey, meeting the human she was to marry. This meeting would decide the future for both of them and their worlds. She felt a mix of excitement and fear. But deep inside, a small spark of wonder began to grow. Wonder about the unknown and the possibility of something new and beautiful. The day finally arrived when the alien princess was to meet her human betrothed for the first time. She woke up early, her heart pounding with a mix of fear and curiosity. She had spent many nights wondering what he would be like. Would he be kind? Would they understand each other? Could they ever truly be together? She dressed carefully in a beautiful outfit made from her planet's finest materials. It shimmered softly in the light and made her feel both proud and nervous. Her advisors helped her prepare, reminding her to stay calm and be herself. Though the princess was far from sure what being herself meant in this new place, she took their words to heart. When the moment came, she was escorted to a large room where the human was waiting. The room was bright with large windows showing the city outside. The princess took a deep breath and stepped inside, feeling every eye on her. She saw the human standing there, looking both nervous and excited. He was dressed simply, but his smile was warm and welcoming. At first, the princess could only stare. She noticed his eyes, deep and full of kindness. For a moment, her fear softened. The human bowed respectfully, and she returned the gesture, trying to hide her trembling hands. Neither spoke at first, but in the silence, a gentle connection began to form. Slowly, they started to talk. The human spoke in simple words, careful and clear. The princess answered as best she could in the language she had learned. Though their speech was not perfect, their voices held honesty and respect. They laughed at small mistakes and encouraged each other. This made the princess feel more comfortable than she had expected. The human showed her small gifts he had prepared, flowers from his garden and a book of poems. The princess was touched by his thoughtfulness. She gave him a delicate crystal from her planet, glowing softly in her hand. This exchange of gifts was more than tradition. It was a sign of their willingness to understand and accept one another. As they spent time together, the princess noticed the human's gentle nature. He listened carefully and asked questions about her world. He did not judge or mock her differences. Instead, he showed real interest and kindness. This surprised her. She had feared humans would be rough and careless, but he was thoughtful and patient. Still, the princess felt the weight of her own fears. She worried about how her people would see her if she could not adapt to this new life. She wondered if the human's world could ever feel like home. There were moments when she felt lonely, missing her family and the familiar comforts of her planet. The human seemed to understand her feelings, even without many words. He shared stories about his own life, his hopes, his struggles, and his dreams. He spoke of wanting peace and friendship between their worlds. Hearing this, the princess began to feel a growing hope that they could build something beautiful together. As the meeting came to an end, they walked together in a nearby garden. The princess admired the colorful flowers and the gentle breeze. For the first time, she saw Earth not just as a strange place, but as a world full of life and beauty. The human pointed out the stars beginning to shine in the evening sky, and spoke softly about how both their worlds were connected by the same universe. In that quiet moment, the princess's fear started to change into wonder. She realized that this human was not a stranger to fear or hope, just like her. They were both learning how to trust and understand. The journey ahead might be long and difficult, but together, they could face it. By the time the princess returned to her temporary home, she felt lighter. She still had questions and doubts, but a new feeling had taken root inside her, a feeling of possibility. She knew that this meeting was just the beginning of a story neither of them had fully imagined. That night, as she looked up at the stars, the princess smiled softly. She was no longer just a frightened girl from a distant planet. She was someone ready to explore the unknown, ready to discover what wonders lay ahead. And in her heart, she carried the hope that her human betrothed would walk beside her every step of the way. She and her human betrothed spent more time together after their first meeting. Each day they learned something new about each other's worlds. The princess showed him the way her people lived, how they respected nature and used their technology to protect the planet. She shared stories of her childhood, the lessons she learned, and the hopes she held for peace between their worlds. The human listened with interest and asked many questions. His curiosity was honest, and he wanted to understand everything. In return, the human showed the princess the beauty of Earth. He took her to quiet parks where birds sang and flowers bloomed. They walked beside rivers that sparkled in the sunlight and watched sunsets that painted the sky with bright colors. The princess was amazed by these simple pleasures. On her planet, nature was often hidden behind technology, but here on Earth, it was everywhere. She began to feel a connection with this new world. The human also introduced her to the small joys of human life, the taste of fresh fruit, the sound of music played on a guitar, and the warmth of a fire on a cold night. These experiences were new and exciting for the princess. She smiled more often, her eyes shining with wonder. Slowly, the fear she had felt before began to fade. Instead, she felt hope and a desire to learn more. Though they came from different worlds, the princess and her betrothed found common values. They both cared deeply about family, friendship, and peace. They talked about their dreams for the future and how they could work together to bring their people closer. Their bond grew stronger, built on respect and trust. But understanding did not come easily all the time. Sometimes they faced confusion and frustration. Language barriers made it hard to express feelings, and cultural differences led to misunderstandings. The princess sometimes missed the order and quiet of her home. The human sometimes felt unsure how to help her when she seemed sad or distant. Despite these challenges, they never gave up. Each problem became a chance to learn and grow. They practiced patience and kindness, helping each other to see the world through new eyes. With every step, the princess's fear changed more into wonder, and her heart opened to the possibility of love. At times, the princess also had to face her own doubts. She wondered if their people would ever truly accept their union. She worried about the future and if they could overcome all the obstacles ahead. But the human always reminded her that they were not alone. Together, they could face anything. As their days passed, they became not just betrothed, but friends. They shared laughter and quiet moments, dreams and hopes. The princess felt she was beginning a new chapter of her life, one filled with the unknown but also with promise. The path ahead was not easy for the princess and her human betrothed. As their relationship grew, so did the challenges around them. Some alien elders spoke against the union. They said humans were too different, too unpredictable to be trusted. They warned the princess to be careful, to protect her people's honor. These words hurt her deeply. She had hoped to build a bridge between worlds, but some saw her choice as a betrayal. On Earth, the princess also faced questions and doubts. Some humans were suspicious of her intentions. They wondered if she truly cared or if she had hidden reasons for coming. Friends of the human betrothed sometimes made unkind remarks, unsure about this alien joining their world. These moments made the princess feel lonely and unsure again, but the couple stood strong together. When the princess heard the doubts from her own people, the human was there to listen and comfort her. When the human faced skepticism, the princess showed her support and belief in him. They learned that love meant standing by each other even when others did not understand. They worked hard to prove their commitment. The princess met with leaders from both worlds to explain her feelings and hopes. She showed her respect for both cultures and her willingness to find peace. The human spoke honestly about his dreams for a shared future. Their words were brave, and slowly, some hearts began to change. Even in the face of obstacles, the princess found strength she did not know she had. She became a symbol of courage and hope for many. Her love story was a sign that fear could be replaced by understanding. It was proof that two very different worlds could come together. The princess and her betrothed also learned to trust themselves. They found joy in small moments, a shared meal, a walk under the stars, a kind word. These simple things became their foundation. With patience and love, they built a strong bond that could face the challenges ahead. In quiet moments, the princess thought about the journey she had taken, from fear and doubt to wonder and hope. She knew that the road ahead was still long, but she felt ready. Together, they could create a new beginning, not just for themselves, but for their people. Their story became a message to others that courage and love could bridge even the greatest distances. That fear could be transformed by understanding, and that sometimes the most unexpected journeys lead to the most beautiful destinations. The day of the official union between the alien princess and her human betrothed finally arrived. It was a day filled with hope, joy, and the coming together of two very different worlds. People from both the alien planet and Earth gathered to witness this special moment. There was excitement in the air, but also a sense of wonder about what this union could mean for the future. The princess prepared carefully for the ceremony. She wore a gown made from the finest materials of her home planet, glowing softly with colors that seemed to change in the light. Her human betrothed dressed in a simple yet elegant outfit that showed his respect for the tradition. Both of them felt the weight of this day, but also a deep happiness inside. They had come a long way, from fear and doubt to love and understanding, as o'er. They stood before the gathered crowd. The princess looked around and saw faces from many different places. Some were friends and family, others were leaders and strangers. Everyone had come to celebrate more than just a marriage. They were celebrating hope. They were celebrating the possibility of peace between their worlds. The ceremony began with words spoken by leaders from both planets. They spoke of friendship, respect, and the courage it took for the princess and her betrothed to unite their worlds. These words touched everyone's hearts. The princess and the human exchanged vows, promising to support and love each other, no matter what challenges came their way. During the ceremony, the princess thought about how far she had come. She remembered the fear she had felt when she first arrived on Earth. She thought about the many moments of doubt and confusion. But most of all, she remembered the kindness and patience of her human betrothed. It was his gentle heart that had helped her see Earth not as a place of danger, but as a place full of beauty and possibility. After the ceremony, there was a celebration filled with laughter, music, and dancing. People from both worlds shared food, stories, and smiles. The princess and her betrothed moved through the crowd, greeting guests and feeling the warmth of their acceptance. It was a joyful time, but also a time for new beginnings. In the days that followed, the princess and her human betrothed began to build their life together. They faced new challenges, but their love and trust made them strong. They worked to bring their people closer, sharing stories and traditions from both worlds. Slowly, the fear and suspicion that had once separated them began to fade. The princess often thought about her journey. She had started with fear and uncertainty, but now she felt wonder and hope. Meeting her human betrothed had changed everything. She had learned that love could cross any boundary, even the boundary between worlds. Their story became known far and wide. It inspired others to look beyond differences and to embrace the unknown with courage. People from both planets began to imagine a future where they could live in peace and friendship. The princess and her betrothed were not just a couple, they were a symbol of what was possible when hearts opened to understanding. At night, the princess would sometimes look up at the stars and feel a deep connection to both her home and Earth. She knew that she belonged to two worlds now, and that this was a gift. Her journey had taught her that fear could be replaced by wonder, and that even the greatest differences could be bridged by love. The princess and her human betrothed knew that their adventure was only beginning. Together, they were ready to face whatever the future held. Their love was a new light shining across the galaxy, a light that showed that hope, kindness, and courage could unite even the most unlikely hearts.